Good evening. This is a report capturing the dramatic events unfolding in the Middle East, a region forever etched in the annals of history as a theater of conflict. On a day that has been described as the bloodiest in Israel's history since its founding, and the deadliest for Jews since the Holocaust, we find ourselves compelled to delve deeper into a tragedy of immense proportions. On October 7th, a barrage of rockets rained down on Israeli soil, numbering upwards of 3,000. These were not random acts of violence. They were calculated assaults targeted towards military bases, civilian neighborhoods, and even a music festival near Rayem, executed by Hamas, the Palestinian Islamist militant group. Israel's citizens were under siege, and when the day came to a close, over 1,000 civilians and more than 350 soldiers had been slain. Additionally, nearly 200 Israeli citizens, including children, were abducted and taken hostage into the Gaza Strip. The international community is still grappling with the scale of this catastrophe, with words of condemnation echoing from leaders like U.S. President Joe Biden. On the flip side of the coin, Israel has been retaliating with force, a ground offensive targeted towards neutralizing the militant faction of Hamas in Gaza. In recent airstrikes, the Israeli military claims to have decimated areas harboring Hamas infrastructure and militants, including commanders involved in the October 7th attacks. In just a day, Israeli ground forces claim to have killed approximately 50 militants in the area of Jabalia, while the Israeli military presents this as a strategic necessity. The collateral damage in terms of human life and suffering is staggering. In Gaza, images have emerged that seem as though they've been lifted from the pages of a post-apocalyptic novel. Entire apartment blocks have been flattened, craters that once were bustling neighborhoods now exist, and the toll in human life and injuries continues to climb into the hundreds, according to local hospital officials. Hospitals like Kamal Adwan, an Indonesian hospital, are overwhelmed with a paucity of medical supplies and an influx of injured individuals to tend to. And the humanitarian crisis doesn't end there. Israel's total blockade on Gaza in response to the initial Hamas attacks has led to an unprecedented shortage of essential goods. The scarcity of food and water is tangible. People are lining up for hours for just a loaf of bread. According to the World Food Program, supplies could run out within a week, rendering an already dire situation catastrophic. Israel, wary of Hamas's potential militarization of aid, has been parsimonious in allowing humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. Small amounts have trickled in since October 21st, but UN officials state that this is but a drop in the ocean, considering the scale of needs. Egypt has also been a channel for some aid after intense negotiations, yet the supplies remain woefully insufficient for the populace, nearly all of whom face food insecurity. We find ourselves in a critical juncture of this crisis, where every decision carries the weight of life and death. With each passing day, the scale of human suffering escalates, with both sides losing not just lives, but also the fabric that makes us human. Civility is being shredded to pieces in a theater of war that shows no signs of abating. The situation calls for immediate international intervention to broker peace and provide humanitarian aid, for we teeter on the brink of a disaster that could unravel decades of tenuous stability in the region. Will the red and white lights of the emergency vehicles in Gaza and Israel flicker like the dying hopes of peace? The question on everyone's lips now is not one of politics, territory, or even justice. It's far more immediate. It's a question of survival and how we, as a collective humanity, will respond. The whole world is watching, waiting, and hoping for a resolution that will spare more lives from being lost in this devastating conflict. And that's the way it is. Thank you, and good night.